Hi, and welcome to how to export multiple records using an Includedln filter in Taleo Connect client. So previously, I have shown you in another exercise that we can pull out candidate details using an export in TCC. This particular export is pulling out employee number, the candidate number, the name, the SSO ID, username, email address, and whether or not they're an internal candidate. The last four being extremely important to finding out if single sign-on is a data issue on the candidate record. In this particular export, I was using a equals filter to pull out the candidate record that is the employee number, where the employee number equals 103770. Now, what would you do if you wanted to pull out multiple candidates all out at once? You can use a different filter to, if employee number is not null, if you want to pull out anybody that is a candidate in your zone that has an employee number filled in. But if you want to look for a specific set of employees, you can't just add another filter here. If I add another equals filter on employee number, these actually is an AND operation, so it has to match both of these criteria, so that won't work. So we actually have a different mechanism. In SQL, we have in list, and in TCC, we have Includedln, and then we specify the list. So in this case, what we would do is add a complex filter. So we'll go to the Add button, and instead of a simpler filter, we will add a complex filter, and hit OK. That will give us the code window. And what you'll see here is that we have the filtering XML code already started, and it is self-closed. So what we want to do is actually open that tag up, and we'll put a closing tag here at the end. So let's create a new line and give us a little bit of space. So now this is a correct filtering tag. We have an opening and we have an XML tag closing it. So remember that this is XML, so we have to open our tag and close our tag, and we have to use the QUER prefix here with everything that we're doing. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to create an Includedln filter. So again, we're going to open it and we're going to close it. So let's give it a little bit more room here. And what we want to do is we want to compare it to a field. So we need to give it a field and a path. And if you're ever wondering, what pieces to include here, you can always look at the source of some of the other ones. That will give you some additional details on how these are constructed. In this case, Includedln takes a couple of parameters. It takes the field that we want to compare, and then it takes a list of strings or values. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to create a list, and we're going to close that list, and then we're going to put our values here in the middle. In my case, what I want to do is I want to create a string. So let's open up the string, and then we're going to give it a closing tag as well. We'll copy that here just so that we can create two of them. And then we'll put a value in between the string. So in this case, let me find a couple of values for employees that I want to pull out. And we're going to stick that right here in between the string tags. And so now this filter here will look for any candidate records where the employee number is in this list. So in this case, we should be pulling out these two records. So let me go ahead and save that. Actually, I need to remove this equals filter, or that won't work. So let's save that again. And then when we execute this configuration file, let's take a look at our folder. Here we go, and let's open this up. All right, there we go. Now we have these two employees. Now, what happens if you want to do a larger list? This was just two here. What if we wanted to have a much, much larger list? So let me show you how I do this in Excel. So what I do is I just show, get the list of employees. So let's say these are our employees. And what I want to do is I want to create this list. I just take this string, and I actually use a concatenation. So this is a formula. You're going to get a little bit of Excel training here as well. So I concat and I create this as a string, and then I use comma. So this is going to be A3 to replace that, and then a comma and double quotes, and then we're going to close it out, double quotes and parentheses. So here what we're doing is we're concatenating the beginning of this string, we're concatenating the actual employee number, and then we're going to end the string. And then when I hit enter, here we are. This is the string that we want to use. And then I can actually drag this down, and it'll do that for all 4 of these. And then I can just come here, copy this, and replace that here. Remove that last little carriage return. And when I save, let's run this again. And let's open up this file. And here we go. We've got our 4 candidates now. And you can do this for a much larger list as well. So if you're looking at potentially even a larger list, I can copy this formula here. Here's another larger list. I can copy this formula here. It's using, just make sure you've got the right one there. A4 is the cell here. And then I can drag this down, copy that whole lot, and go back to my script and replace that here. And now I'm using a much larger list. So there is a limit to this, but you can add hundreds of numbers here to pull this list. And so this allows you to pull exact records that you're looking for and inspect their issues. So this is really helpful if you're troubleshooting an integration script such as candidate or user, where you may have single sign-on issues, or you may have issues with data that is preventing those imports from completing. If you pull out the employee number or the user ID or whatever it is that you're using to identify them in the errors, you can just pull out all of those records specifically and sort of treat this like a quick reporting tool. Again, very useful for SSOID because TCC is the only place that you can pull that data point out of. Hope this helps you dig through some of your issues with your data using TCC.